also a retired Greece police officer. So if we can remember the Wilson and Deal families in your thoughts and prayers, and I'm going to have Mr. Butler lead us in a pledge this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If I could have somebody move the agenda table, please. Moved by Vice President Moore, second by Mr. Farmer. Does anybody have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda? I'm going to add 13.02. It's going to be a resolution regarding a temporary change in grade configuration at Arcadia Middle School. All those in favor of the agenda is amended? That passes 9-0. Moving on to our union comments, GTA. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak from GTA? GASA. AGSEP. Gus, Teamsters. All right, that was quick. All right, I'm gonna call the Code of Conduct public hearing to order. I have no speakers, so I'm gonna close the Code of Conduct public hearing. The district-wide safety plan public hearing, I'm gonna call to order. I have no speaker sign up for that. I'm gonna and district-wide safety plan public hearing. Moving on to staffing, can I have somebody move staffing to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Farmer, second by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on staffing? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Assistant Superintendent Larson.
All right, thank you very much. I am happy to welcome 3 new assistant principals with us tonight. I'd like to start with Jennifer Cooper, assistant principal for Craig Hill. Welcome, welcome. Jennifer's educational background includes a Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology from SUNY Brockport and a Master's of Education degree in Early Childhood Education, Education, and Inclusive Education from Roberts Wesleyan College. Jennifer obtained her educational administrative certification from SUNY Brockport as well and became a teacher in Brockport in 2006. During her 16 years in Brockport, she taught both kindergarten and first grade and was the acting assistant principal for 1 year at the 4th and 5th grade level, and had the role of co-principal for 5 years within their summer literacy program, grades K through 6. Jennifer has worked as an adjunct professor of the America Reads program at SUNY Brockport College for 3 years and has enjoyed her time in all of these roles. Jennifer loves working to support families, students, and staff. She is so excited to start her journey within the Greece Central School District. Jennifer was raised in Chili, New York, and has been a resident of Greece for almost 7 years now, with her husband Graham and their 2 daughters, Maya and Alana. As a family, they love to have fun and keep active. Congratulations, Jennifer, and welcome to Greece. All right. Next, congratulations to Tony Tan, assistant principal at Olympia. Tony completed his bachelor's and master's degree at SUNY Brockport. In addition, he obtained his school building leadership certificates from the Warner Graduate School of Education and Human Development at the University of Rochester. Tony served as a physical education teacher and coach in the Rochester City School District beginning in 2000. Tony cherishes the relationships that he has built with his students, their families, and the community, and the staff at his school. Tony aspires to continue growing and learning as a leader and educator in the Greece Central School District. Additionally, he aims to promote the academic success and well-being of each student by effectively managing the school organization, its operations, and resources to provide a safe and efficient learning environment. Outside of work, Tony enjoys organizing fundraisers for schools, coaching soccer for his son, and playing competitive golf in his free time. Tony is a proud parent of 2 boys, ages 14 and 16, who keep him busy with their extracurricular activities. Tony is a dog lover and has been training his pit mix rescue, Lizzie, for the past 3 years. Congratulations, Tony, and welcome to Greece. And last but not least, please welcome Allison Wise, Assistant Principal for Pine Brook. Allie Wise has been a part of the Greece Central School District for 9 years. She attended Nazareth College, SUNY Brockport, and the University of Rochester. Prior to joining the Greece Central School District, Allie worked at a consulting firm working with companies across the Rochester area, and she taught in the Rochester City School District. Allie was appointed as the acting assistant principal at Pine Brook Elementary School in November of '22 and is thrilled to be continuing in this role officially. Her favorite part of the job has been forming relationships with students, staff, and families. She also enjoys working with teams to find what works best for students and celebrating their achievements along the way. Allie is looking forward to continuing to support the hard work that the Pine Brook staff do each and every day to support their students and having the opportunity to work closely with families to support their students throughout their time in K-5. Outside of the building, Allie is part of multiple committees in the district ranging from culture and climate to code of conduct and is excited to integrate the information from those committees into her role each day. Congratulations, Allie.
Now it's picture time.
Picture time.
So the three of you can come up. We're going to do a picture with Assistant Superintendents Payne, Clicchio, and Zaffitz, and Superintendent Groutman. And then the Olympia staff, obviously, since you turned out with such enormity this evening. Yeah, and you can, Pine Brook, you guys can jump in and do another picture too. So we'll do three different pictures. We'll do with the, you're stuck. I already said your name. Now I'm gonna make you stand in front of me, Casey.
If you'd like to go in the center, I can.
Yeah, then we'll, yep, perfect.
Okay.
You're my word here.
Now to school teams. Where are you going, Brandon? I just want to see your mug on Twitter. Laurel, can you grab the picture? Sorry. Thank you, guys, and welcome to Greece Central.
Thank you.
All right, can I have somebody move the tenure table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, second by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the tenure? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 9-0. Moving on to special presentations, summer program updates. Superintendent Groutman.
Yeah, I'd like to invite Dr. Payne, and I think Todd Smith is going to be coming up as well. One thing that I would say I am really, really proud of is the work that we have done to offer summer programming. So if you travel anywhere in Greece throughout the summer, you will see hundreds of kids participating in all different things. So through the years, we haven't always been able to do that because of budget constraints and a lot of other reasons, but we have gradually grown our programming and intentionally to really address unfinished learning, learning loss, whatever you want to call it, as well as to really try to engage more and more students. So I know that Val and Todd are both really excited to share an update of what we're finding with summer programs so far. I would also just point out that we typically, and we will be also doing a presentation in the fall because we also like to look at the impact. And at this point, the programs are in session, so we might not have data to necessarily be able to anchor into. So just so you know that we will be doing that presentation in the fall as well in terms of looking at impact.
All right, well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Happy summer. It's hard to believe that we're already into the August and doing the final preparations for the opening of school, but, and it's also our last full week of summer programming, which is hard to believe and exciting as well. But I just, as I thought about that in summer, like what wonderful opportunities the kids in Greece have with the amazing programming that Kathy mentioned is going on across our district. A couple of years ago, we did a parent survey, and we heard loud and clear from our families that they wanted more opportunities for our kids. So we delivered, and not only with, during the school year, extra offerings, extracurricular offerings, but also for our summer programming, which we're super excited about. So this slide reveals all of the different programs that we've got going on across the district. And the numbers that are in parentheses behind each program, we're going to be speaking to these all, but the numbers behind them are the number of students that we actually have participating. So super excited about this. We had registration information that went out early in the spring around the different programs that we were offering, and our families had the opportunity to enroll in the different programs. So our first program that we're going to be talking about is Jumpstart to Kindergarten, and this program is for our youngest kiddos, right? And this is a program for our students in Greece that did not participate in any UPK programming. So this program is super exciting because we have 36 students that are in attendance, and it's getting them ready for school. Right? It's like, this is what the school looks like. It's also preparing the parents too. I have to say, like, I've seen the parents in drop-off and understanding, how you say goodbye, and just, it allows us to like fast forward the work that we do in September by bringing the kids in early. So some of the things that they're focusing on is purposeful play, again, that social emotional piece, academic skills, and the students are even being able to engage in phonological awareness lessons through the Haggerty framework. So this is something that we're really excited to see, and it just brings you joy seeing the little kids entering Greece. The second program is our District K2 reading program, and this year we have about 124 students that are participating in this. There's a superhero reading and writing focus on being respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. We have reading specialists that are providing daily phonological awareness lessons for the students. And in our partnership with Center for Youth and Roberts Wesleyan College, we have additional supports for the kids and for the teachers there as well. The writing focus has been on opinion writing, and there's been a lot of staff development around that and data collection for informing what we're doing and next steps for our kids. And I would encourage you at your leisure to take a look where at the bottom there where it says summer reading pictures. It captures every week pictures. They're like so adorable. Todd and I had really charged everybody to be taking lots of pictures around their programs. And anyways, it's great to take a look at those, so I'd encourage you to do so. Another program that we have is the iReady Virtual Learning, and this program is something that we started after the pandemic to be able to offer virtual learning experiences for our kids. Right after the pandemic, those numbers were really high, and then they took a bit of a dip, but they were a bit on the upswing again this year, which is nice to see. And this program is something that families can pick, and it's really flexible because families can choose this if they want to have some additional support for their kids, but don't necessarily want to physically have their kids attending school. So this is a really nice option that our families can do, so you can be on vacation and your student can still be participating in this and receiving support through conferences with teachers. Another program that is super excited about this year is our English as a New Language summer program. We have 94 students participating from kindergarten through grade 12. All classes are learning language through weekly themes, and some of those themes are students understanding the world, their roots, the United States, New York State, Monroe County, Rochester, and the town of Greece. And this program is so exciting because we have students that are attending this that have not yet even stepped foot in school. So we're already capturing them maybe new to the country and being able to have them participate in this, which is exciting. We also have support through our partnerships with SUNY Brockport and Nazareth College, and our students are participating in buddy readings sessions where we have the younger students working with the older students for support. So that is really exciting. And there's lots of field trips that are embedded in that program too. The other program that we have going on that we run every year is Extended School Year, and we have 208 students enrolled with 168 staff members. And Extended School Year services are for our students with disabilities who demonstrate regression if they do not participate in some sort of summer program. So we offer this, and it is running it's a 6 weeks program, and it does run Monday through Fridays. And there are also field trips that are available for our students in this program. And we have related services such as speech, OT, PT, music therapy, and vision supports are given to the students. In addition to the programs that we offer, we have our Kids Care Summer Program, which is the program that we offer during the school year before and after programming for parents. This is a pay per service, but it's 6 weeks of theme-based recreational programming, and this year it's been run out of English Village. Our students are able to get breakfast and lunch with this. There's field trips that are included. It's really exciting to see, and we have 155 children attending through Kids Care. Also, summer fun camps at English Village. So this was something we started a couple of years ago through community schools. So students in kindergarten through 5th grade can attend. There are 2-week sessions this year. We took some feedback that we received last year and decided to make those sessions run 2 weeks for 2.5 hours a day. The first session that we had, we were able to provide transportation. We didn't do that. We were not able to do that for the whole entire summer for summer fun camps, but we were able to do that for the first round. There were some questions, I know, if we had to turn any students away for any of our programming. We did not. We did not need to turn any students away, with the exception of the summer fun camps. And the only reason that was because of transportation being a barrier. So that is some feedback when we plan for next year. We worked really closely with transportation to be able to see if we could provide more of that, but unfortunately with bus shortages and other things, we were not able to get that. But that's something that we're going to look at closely for next year. But super exciting things, STEM activities for kids, outdoor games, body movement, art projects, all sort of really fun, engaging things for kids to be able to have opportunity to participate in, all free of charge. Additionally, we had summer athletic camps. So this is something that we were super excited about. We've got, igniting learning around the fundamentals of each sport across the district and all grade levels. We had over 3,000 that total registration for this. We only ended up with around 2,100 students participating, but we had 40 different camps offered, over 200 coaches, and we also collaborated with the Greece community sports organizations to offer these programs for our kids. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to Todd to talk about our secondary programs.
Thank you, Val. All right, so our secondary programs aren't quite as many of the fun camps and those types of things, although they did get to participate in the sports camps, as Val just mentioned. So our middle school programs are great. They're designed by each middle school specifically for their building. So a lot of our programs are district-wide. These we tried to customize a little more. We know when students get to middle school, sometimes they become a little more at risk. And so we really want to try to bring those students in the summer and make sure they have those school-ready skills to, as they're entering into the more difficult classes in middle school and high school. So each building designed their own program for 5 Go 6, 6 Go 7, and 7 Go 8 students. So we're excited about that, really helping those students. This is the first year we've really addressed some of the 5 Go 6 students. So we're excited about helping with that transition time. Then we have 2 programs run by BOCES. So we have our traditional BOCES Regional Summer School that's held at Olympia this year. That is what you'd normally think of as summer school for high school. So students who may not have received credit during the year, they go there. BOCES does run it for us, but they do hire a lot of Greece teachers. So it is in Greece and mainly by Greece in terms of for our students. So it's a great program. Lots of credits are going to be earned. We will be sharing about that in the fall when we present, when we know the final, because we have 1 more week. And they'll be taking Regents exams here, so we'll let you know about that. But it was highly attended. It's a great regional program. And then we have our alternative school, which is just for Greece students. So that was at Athena this year. So again, it's run by BOCES, but they've really partnered with us to kind of customize an alternative credit recovery so that, because at the regional one, it's really like everybody's getting the same thing. You might have some students from different districts and things like that. This is really customized to our students, so they don't have to repeat everything in the course. They really get it tailored to, hey, these are the things that you didn't learn during the year, and that's what we're gonna address in this credit recovery to get you credit. And it allows kids to maybe tackle a few more classes than they normally would over the summer, and just really have it targeted towards them. And again, this is mainly all Greece teachers, even though it's run by BOCES. And we have a large online component there, so we have an online program called Fuel Ed that they can use, and we've designed a lot of our own online courses as the years have gone. So creating a lot of flexibility for our students. So how is it different? I mentioned some of those things already, sorry. But some of the things is really that blended learning model. So as we've started to get into more standards-based grading, kind of really addressing those standards with the kids and targeting that in. Just a little bit of data for you real quick. And we'll have final data after we debrief this fall. In our regional one, you can see there are 677 students enrolled. Then there's also an additional 148 students that are exam only. So they passed the course during the year. They're coming in just to make up the Regents exam. And then our alternative, we have 161 students enrolled. And so far, 80 courses have been recovered, but that number is going to increase greatly as we get our final numbers this fall. And then we have an additional program that kind of piggybacked off this. Shauna ran a world language credit recovery, and we had 44 students recover that because BOCES doesn't offer that for us, so we kind of ran that ourselves. And that's it for the secondary world. Questions?
Questions? Vice President Moore?
Not really questions. First of all, I was thrilled to see you were using student teachers, and that's a wonderful opportunity for a student, so both students, so I was glad of that. Kids care. When I see a picture, every time I want to go there. They're smiling and happy. I know there's a kid somewhere probably in the corner crying, but they always look so happy. It's great. And I was happy to see the summer fun camps. There was a time when the town of Greece offered camps for students, and my children not only participated but became counselors. So thank you for doing that.
Sorry. Mrs. Farmer? I should have put my phone away.
I have a pouch.
You got nothing to say about pouches.
So thank you, Terry, because I'm going to piggyback off of the town. So you talked about having about having concerns, or not having enough busing. Are the camps held throughout the district at different buildings, and can they walk to the camp? They could, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, you know, Kathy kind of spoke about it at the beginning around just the huge offerings that we have, and it's a Herculean task. When I say we start like, well, we start in September where we debrief, and then we come together in around January, and we start every month planning around what we're going to do. And that involves like every department, from the finance department, from transportation to HR. I mean, it's really a huge task to determine what it is that we need. So we had transportation involved in this really early on to be able to see how we could maximize. I mean, obviously, our goal, we wanted to be able to have transportation for those summer fun camps for every session. And, you know, Dave and his team did everything within their power to be able to make that happen, but that was a bit of a limitation. So that's something that we're going to have to take a look at next year to see how we can, you know, optimize that, make that better. But we will be coming back together to talk about not only the data around the progress that our kids made, but also the feedback that we received from our families as we improve upon what we do and build upon it, not only for like what we're offering, because I had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that we've been able to fund a lot of this through the ARP funds, but we've been having a lot of conversation with the finance department around like, once that funding goes away, how can we continue to sustain this? Because right now we're heroes because we're having all of this programming, and we want to be able to continue it. So, you know, through our community school efforts, through partnerships, how can we be more strategic in our planning and being able to provide the level of support that now our families are becoming accustomed to?
Were there kids that walked? And if there were, can we get data on that? Like, I guess I would like to know if parents would be okay having their kids, like my kids. I used to walk to, Brookside to participate in camps. So are we worried? Do we want parents dropping? How do we?
One of the obstacles that we have around that is what campuses are available to us. So, with all of the construction and things that are going on, across the district, that's something that is always something that we have to, that's the constraints that we have to work in. And obviously, if we have it, like we had the summer fun camps at English Village, well, if I don't live in that English Village proximity, walking is not an option.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess we could probably, get a feel for what those numbers are, but I would say for the most part, we have parents either transporting their kids or they're taking the buses.
All right, thanks, Val.
Superintendent Grauman.
Oh, I was going to answer that, but I wanted to make a couple points. One, I wanted to just really highlight and say thank you related to community schools. And I think that there's a couple parts of that were part of the presentation, but I think just to make it even stronger. One, the partnerships that exist. So to go in to see the NL program, for example, with 100 students, and to see the amount of adult support because we're partnering with the universities and because those are relationships, that's something that's not happening across the county and in most places in the state or nation. Like, that was huge. And that's not just at that one program. That was sort of across the board when I was in places this summer. And along with that, I think the other part that the community schools has helped us with is this idea of really listening. So we take a lot of pride and we put it in a lot of documents around it's important for us to listen to stakeholders and community members. What we sometimes fail to do is really remind people that we're adjusting things based on that feedback. And it's not just one place. It's not just one survey or a thought exchange. It's literally that, and it's parent coordinators that are talking to people when they're coming and dropping their kids off, or it's principals and staff members who are asking for feedback. But because of all of that feedback, we have, everything that has been added is based on what parents and families have asked for. So I just think, as much as we hear, like, you're not listening, there's so many examples of where we are really listening and trying to adjust and make things more accessible to our families. And I just appreciate the vast numbers. And the fact that transportation can't keep up is sad and frustrating. And I know Dave has worked so hard, but it also is because the numbers are so huge in terms of who we're servicing throughout the summer months. So I just want to say thanks for all of that. And I got an unsolicited call today about like a regional, like Olympia Summer School for a secondary student, unsolicited, about how well it was run, the just like the smoothness of how things were implemented, the support, the assistant principals, and just the feel of the building this summer. So I don't get those all that often, so thank you.
Mr. Bonagordo.
Regarding specifically the summer fun camp, I believe there is a town camp that's run through the summer. Have we looked at any?
The town
getting
doesn't
shape?
offer any camps anymore over the summer.
I didn't hear.
No, I'm aware that there are, but, okay.
The town agrees?
Yeah, so I guess I'll follow
Okay.
that up. Thanks.
Anything else?
Yeah, I do have.
Oh, okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Let's see, going to the K through 2 readiness, reading specialist. Dr. Payne, really excited about that. I'm wondering, is that part of the new curriculum that we're getting, or is that something we've already been doing, and are we expecting more of those reading specialists?
So I may draw on Suzanne's expertise around that. I do know that some of the phonemic awareness training, the Haggerty framework that we've been using, and we're doing that both in our Jumpstart as well as in the K-2 programming, that is happening. I don't think we're not doing anything with our implementation of, I'll let you speak, Deb.
So we've been using Haggerty across the district. Our language development teachers have been using that as their primary resource, pushing into the kindergarten classrooms, and when schedules allow, we've also been able to push into some first and second grade classrooms. So that is a rhythm that's been going on. It's not necessarily embedded in the new program, but it's something we're continuing with the new program that's coming on. And I would say the majority of our reading specialists at this point have also been trained in Haggerty and are using it with the students that they teach as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
The other thing that we do too with the data that we collect is we're able to then turn that data back to the schools where those students attend, so that the teachers can see the progress that the kids have made over the summer. So we use that data to help inform, next steps for instructional purposes.
Dr. Trawick?
So first, want to just say, when you guys put the data together to look at like the outcomes, one of the things I'd like to see is just growth in the program, how it, over the last couple of years, how the numbers have climbed. The second thing is I want to say thank you for the after-school kind of childcare component for keeping it affordable. As a parent who has put 3 kids through camp, this last year I only had to do 2 kids. What camp costs is like double what we charge. So thank you for keeping it affordable. And I was looking at the offerings. I'm like, they're offering exactly the same thing, same hours, everything. So that's another piece. And then lastly, I wondered if you guys had given any thought, specifically thinking about the NO program. We have those that are going to be coming to our area seeking asylum. Some will land in Greece. And I wonder if, as you're planning moving forward, if we're thinking about being able to expand that program to accommodate what could potentially be a growing need.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at those numbers very, very closely as students are registering. The other thing that we're really happy to be able to talk about is we're now having parent coordinators that Sean has been able to support, that can speak some of the languages of the kids that are coming in. So that is something that we're super excited about, because I know that even over at the summer programming, I was in the foyer area on one of the first days trying to help a mother with communication that didn't speak any English. And the communication was such a barrier. So, those additional supports through community school and parent coordinators and being able to have that, to be able to help support that, we're super excited about. Huge area that we can continue to look at.
Superintendent Grumman, you wanted to jump on something?
I was just going to mention that your point in terms of asylum seekers and being prepared for that is something that is also being discussed at the county level, and with superintendents to consider and think about resources and how districts are going to manage, because we have talked about it internally in our cabinet around staffing and numbers that we could support and things like that in terms of preparation. And we also have a pretty robust community schools model that also provides a lot of supports. Not a lot of districts have that. Yes, that's ongoing conversation.
Mr. Bonagoro?
On page 16, the secondary, you got the points of pride. Is that primarily, you said obviously there's credit recovery in that. Is it primarily or entirely credit recovery, or does that include like students trying to get ahead or graduate early?
So traditionally, there are some new courses, but this year, due to some of the scheduling constraints, BOCES wasn't able to offer as much of that, except for a few rare exceptions granted by principals. So there wasn't a lot of the getting ahead new credits this year.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
So maybe you can just flesh out a little bit for me. It looks like, all right, over 700 students, close to 800 students in the 2 programs. I'm guessing it's probably something like 5% of the student population, or those grade levels. And then it says 7 students completed coursework. Is that because they haven't finished it yet, or the same thing with the graduates?
Just to be clear, those total numbers for the BOCES program are the whole BOCES program, and they're not all Greece students.
Okay.
So the credit recovery one at Athena is only Greece students. The regional one is a regional BOCES summer school. So when we do a further data breakdown for you this fall, we can pull out exactly how many Greece students and how many courses they recovered for that piece. So that might be a little bit why the numbers are seeming rather large.
Yeah, if we could follow up on that, that would be great.
Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure.
Mr. Butler?
So I'll add to the chorus of thank yous to you all and the team for all the great work that's been happening over the summer, and I've got two quick things. One, I agree with Dr. Trewick's assessment of the summer care program, and it's such an affordable price point, but we know that there's families for whom even that rate is probably a barrier, and I just wonder if you have any sense of the degree to which that cost was a barrier for some families who would have liked to participate.
First of all, I know that there is some childcare assistance that is available, and we have talked about just even different things that we might be able to do to make that even more accessible for families. I mean, I think that's something that we continue to look at, like how do we really provide opportunities for families that it's a real far reach. So, but yes, we will continue to look at that.
That's great. I mean, childcare is such an issue for families and really not even the lowest income families alone. It's an issue across the
Absolutely.
country, really, and it's the affordability crisis as well as an
It's-
access crisis.
It certainly is. I mean, and yes,
Great. So
so,
I'm glad we provide that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're also looking at that. And my second question was, I wonder what you mentioned that, you know, we don't have data on the results of the program yet because it's still underway, but I wonder if you have any kind of lead measures that you look at around attendance or different things like that that give you a sense of what you could expect.
yeah, we collect attendance like on a daily basis. I haven't had a chance to look at that data at this point, but we will
Yeah, I
look
wasn't
at.
asking for
Yeah.
the status of it, but I wonder the degree to which we're reacting to that in real time also, because the summer's over when the summer's over.
Right, exactly, and that's why we have a lot of the support that we do, because phone calls are made, you know, encouraging families to, and then we open up enrollment too. If a family decides that, you know, this is, you know, I thought I could commit to this and I don't, then
Great.
we've been able to open things up for students as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Ferraro?
Hi, just want to piggyback off of what Dr. Trewick and Mr. Butler were saying. Do we know, I know that we're going to get more information. Are we on track for these students? I know that's, a lot of it was recovery and earned credits. I know that we have a week left. Can you tell us if how much, are the students on track to either I know that, you know, 4 seniors are ready to graduate, which is perfect. Where are we at? Are they working? Do we have enough going forward? Are we reaching the benchmarks so far from what you have? I
You
know.
mean in terms of the actual summer programs?
Yeah, are they on course to either continue to go to the next grade? How do we look so far? I know that we're not complete, but we're pretty much there, so we got to have some sort of idea of where we're going.
So these are BOCES run programs,
Yeah.
and so they're gonna give us that data at the end. And so in terms of tracking that like week by, so the elementary programs we run, right? And so we have some of that tracking along the way. The BOCES programs at the high school level are really run by them and their principals. So, but what we do have is, I know at the end of it, we'll see where students are at, and some of them will continue that. So maybe they didn't quite finish at the end of the summer, and they were in one of our online programs, say Fuel Ed. They don't have to start back over in the fall. We will put them in one of our academic intervention programs, and they'll continue that. Maybe they only need an extra 3 weeks or an extra few weeks into the fall. So we do track that kind of data to make sure those who couldn't finish this summer will get an opportunity to continue on.
Perfect, thank you.
I'd like to add on to that too. So for at the lower grades, right? Like, first of all, the Jump Start program. You know, we have qualitative data that the kindergarten teachers are so appreciative of those kids that have not had any pre-K experience. And now they come in knowing, like, this is the school, this is the cafeteria, this is the playground. So there's that social emotional component that's absolutely huge. And that goes for our summer camps too, the social emotional learning that's happening. We've got kids that don't want to go home at the end of camp. You know, they're having such a good time, they don't want to go home. And then the other thing that we've always done in our K-2 programming is we are able to, and we provide this for you later in the fall when we have that data, but we're able to see, you know, you talk about the summer slide, the kids that make regression. And our data in the past has really shown that not only do our students not regress, but they actually make gains, which is super exciting. But we'll be revealing all that data to you when we come back in the fall.
Ms. Ferraro?
So just quickly, I always go right into the question and don't acknowledge the wonderful work that you're doing, so I'm acknowledging that. I also want to dig in a little bit deeper into the, so no full year new credit this year due to time constraints.
So That was just, in terms of just the way the summer schedule came out, that was an exception this year in terms
Okay.
of only by special principal approval would they do that, so.
All right, so it's just,
In staffing,
I wondered if it was staffing. Okay. Yeah.
right? So they had to prioritize students who fell behind during the year rather than students
You want to
taking
jump
an extra
ahead.
class. So
Yeah.
there's multiple different factors that went into that, but there were some exceptions by principal approval, though.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. Moving on, 7.02, property tax warrant, Superintendent Groutman.
Yeah, I'm going to have Mr. Kalili come up and give us the breakdown of the tax warrant, which
Exciting.
I'm guessing there's going to be less questions for you, Romeo.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, the board is being asked to approve the tax warrant for the 23-24 school year. And we wanted to provide a summary of what that's looking like and some general information. There we go. The tax levy total is $122,366,000, $735. It was approved in May of 2023. It's a 1.87% increase over the prior year levy for 22-23. It complies with all the tax cap calculation requirements, and it reflects zero appropriated fund balance, which for us is a great thing. We had, in past years, had been at somewhere between 4.6 and $6.3 million in appropriated fund balance. With our increase in our foundation aid, we've been able to take it now to zero for the second year, and we're looking forward to keeping it at zero going forward. It's a good place for a district to be. As we look at the total levy of $122.3 million, $107.9 million will be collected by the tax receiver. Star reimbursements this year will be about $14.5 million. This star reimbursement, and there are a couple slides at the end that I'll share that may make a little bit of a difference for you in understanding them, has been declining over the last several years. We used to get more from star and collect less, and we've gone from about 17 million to 16 million to 15 million, now down to 14, and that's primarily due with the changes made in the star program. Our levy always stays the same. We will always collect the levy that is approved by the board. It's just a matter of how much is collected by the tax receiver versus how much is given back to us by the state. And what's been happening in recent years is we're collecting more at the tax receiver site and getting less back from the state. Inside, included in the $122.3 million are noted at the bottom, $37,722 for what are referred to as 520 re-levies. Just as information, those are when a home is sold by someone who has a tax exemption, a star exemption, and I buy it and I'm not entitled it. For instance, maybe an enhanced star exemption where seniors are selling the home. I now buy it. I'm only entitled to the basic star, and there was a tax break at the time. We now go back and collect the difference. That's what that $37,000 represents. In terms of the rate, for 22-23, we are at $24.84 per thousand. When we did the budget in May, we estimated the rate to be $24.54 per thousand of assessed value. Given where we are today, it came in 1 cent less. We're at an actual rate of $24.53 versus our estimate of $23.54 from May. Again, we're looking for the board to approve the tax levy amount of $122.3 million, and there'll be zero appropriated fund balance, and that is all outlined in the memo for the business action for the board that's upcoming. Just some information. The STAR program is determined by New York State statute. The STAR exemption is tied to the equalization rates, which you will see in a couple slides. are tied to those rates. The star exemptions have been frozen since 2019 tax rolls. However, when the town went to 86% equalization rate, that has now had an impact on the basic star exemption. So what is that impact? And I know this is a little bit busy, but I'll just walk you through it. And this is information that we want to make sure that the board understands and that residents are aware of. So in 22-23, the basic star exemption was worth $30,000. The enhanced exemption was worth $74,900. When you calculate the savings on those, the basic exemption was worth $745 based on our tax rates. And the calculated enhanced savings was worth $1,860. However, the state caps the basic at $734. So although our calculated rate of $745 is what the folks are entitled to, the state capped it at $734. So that's what residents will see on their basic star exemption on their tax bill. On the enhanced side, when you calculate it out, it's $1,861, but the cap has been at $1,574. So for our seniors, you've seen on your tax bill a reduction if you have the exemption of $1,574. That's been in place for several years that way, same numbers. In 23-24, because the equalization rate changed from 100 to 86, that basic exemption is now only worth $26,700. In the star exemption, the enhanced is worth $70. When you do the math, the basic now calculates out to $655, which is less than the cap. And the law is you take the max or the calculated, whichever is lower. So now we're below the 734, which means we can only provide $655 as a basic exemption for those who are eligible. On the enhanced star, it still calculates to $1,717, which is still higher than the New York State max. So the enhanced will stay at $1,574, no impact. Well, what does that mean? In 22-23, you can see we had a basic star savings of $734. We had a tax rate of $2,484 on a house assumed to be $170,000 median value, assessed value. That tax bill would have been $3,489. When we estimated our 23-24 tax bill example back in May, we presumed the basic was at $30,000 and the max would play, and we would provide $734 in an exemption similar to prior years, and that tax bill would come in at $3,438, a decrease of $51. Here we are now and have been notified of this change, and the maximum basic savings will only be $655 with the same rate of and a rate a little bit lower than we estimated, $24.53. That new tax bill that we said we thought would be at $24.38 is actually going to be $3,516. It's going to be an increase of $27, even though our rates went down significantly. Your tax bill will reflect a small increase because there's been a change to the basic exemption from the state in conjunction with the equalization rate changing from 100% to 86%. We're not certain, we just became aware of this summer. We're not sure how this is going to impact next year, but we're trying to figure it out and have some conversations. But we wanted to share that with everybody so that when you see a different number on your tax bill other than $734, folks are aware that it's, again, the result of the equalization changing and the basic star values changing at the state level as a result of that. Hope I didn't make that confusing, but I did want to share it. Questions?
Questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
moving on, 8.01, can I have somebody move to the table the establishment of the 23-24 tax levy? Moved by Ms. Flores, second by Mrs. Ferrera. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 9-0. Moving on to 8.02, change orders. Can I have somebody move those to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, second by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, or concerns? I'm just gonna state that those change orders amount to $56,257.
Could you repeat that, please?
$56,257. With that, anything else? All right, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to business information, anticipated bids, 9.01. Does anybody have any question on those? It's written information only. 9.02 is the budget status and revenue report. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right, moving on to 10.10 is the consent agenda. Have somebody move the consent agenda to the table, please. Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by Dr. Trawick. Any comments, questions, or concerns about the consent agenda? Ms. Flores?
I have a question about the,
Microphone, please.
thank you.
You're welcome.
My apologies. Romeo, I'm hoping that you might be able to assist me. I have a question in regards to the school lunch fund. I know as far as the notification that we received that student lunches and breakfasts will be covered in full this year, correct?
Correct.
So in the past, from an audit standpoint, we are required to keep that school lunch fund at a certain balance,
Yes.
and that has gone up again based on the revenue that was generated from last year. So I'm assuming that we must be putting something in place in order to manage that, to bring it back down. And will that happen pretty quickly, considering that we're not going to be taking, but we're going to be getting all that revenue back from the state to cover for the lunches, so.
Yes, a couple things. So the threshold that the program can maintain is 3 months of operating expenses. So with the supply chain issues and the inflation concerns, that level we're anticipating is going to go up, right? So if it was at $2.3 million equal 3 months, it's probably now going to be $2.6 million or 2.7 because everything has gone up. In terms of revenues, we're still finalizing what they did for this year. We believe based on what they spent this year, based on the plan from last year, and what has come in this year, we're not sure we're going to be on the edge of whether that is going to be a compliance issue or not. If we're still over the threshold, we will do like we've done in prior years. We will write a plan to spend the funds within the next 3 years in order to bring that balance down. This past year, there's been a van purchase, there's been equipment replaced in the schools that we didn't have the prior year. So we're hopeful and anticipating we're going to be under that threshold, and it should not be a problem, but there is a possibility that it could be slightly over.
Thank you. I
Does
just
that help?
kind of, yes, it does. And I really also wanted to take the opportunity to point out that our students are going to be receiving that free breakfast and lunch this year, which
Yes.
is a big deal to a lot of our families. It's a good problem to have to figure out how to spend
And
money.
one additional item, too, that I'll mention that could push us over is we received, I want to say it's in the $300,000 or $400,000 range, a one-time payment from the state. It was a supply chain subsidy assistance from the feds that we got. It was $300,000, $400,000. That has to be figured in. That may have been enough to put us over the new threshold or the existing threshold. So in our minds, if we took that payment out, we would be under, but we have to include it, which may put us over, and we'll just use those funds to replace equipment and pay for salaries and other benefits.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all's in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to 11.01, the professional learning plan. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mrs. Farmer, seconded by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. All right, moving on to 13.01, public policy, public participation in board meetings. I saw you move that resolution to the table, please. Moved by Mr. Maloney, second by Vice President Moore. Comments, questions, concerns? Ms. Farah?
Okay, there we go. Yes. Okay, just a quick question, not question, statement. I do see that we are allotted 32 minutes at the beginning of the board meetings for this, which will allow 8 members, 4 minutes apiece. And it looks like we're looking to change it down to 20 minutes, and we're looking to change the speaker's minutes from 4 to 2, which will still give us 10 speakers. We're really never at that max capacity. And I've been checking, so I think 2 minutes is not enough. 4 minutes may be too much. I know that obviously we can't probably do 3.5, but I was watching actually our 2 speakers speak. They would have went over their 2 minutes, but they had time left over. So I would suggest, since we don't really have an abundance of speakers, I don't see how that would be an issue. I would ask to keep it back to where it was. We should allow our taxpayers, our community members, those 4 minutes to speak. Some of them don't even take the time. Very rarely do they ever go over where we're kind of getting them to move it along.
Well, I have to cut them off at 4 minutes. It's a
Yes.
hard cutoff at
Yes,
4
yes.
minutes. Okay.
So again, we don't really ever get there. So I think for, cultivating some trust with our community members, I think we should allow them those 4 minutes still. That would be my suggestion. We keep it how it was.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Bongorio?
If that was a motion, I'll second it. I don't know if it was.
Can be.
I don't know if that's, maybe we're out of order on that. I'm not good at that.
So I guess I'm confused. I just gotta get a clarification and wrap my head around what you're saying here. So what you wanna do is take this resolution before you, amend it back to the original resolution, the original policy.
Correct.
Of the 8 and 30, 8 speakers, 32 minutes. So you wanna amend that. So you'd have to put that in the form of an amendment. And if that's what you wanna do, if that's where you're looking to go, I don't know.
I'd like to make an amendment.
All right, you're making an amendment, Mr. Bongorio second. Now we're discussing just the amendment, the eight, and we're back to 8 and 32, so we're not changing the policy. Are there any comments on that? Mr. Maloney?
No offense, but I feel that sometimes 4 minutes is too long. No, I'm serious. I mean, if they were parents coming up, talking about children in school, and I can see giving them more time only because it pertains to students. But we do a lot of public hearings around things that don't really concern us. I mean, we listen to them, and we take it under advisement, and we follow through. We actually look into different things. I just think that 4 minutes is too long.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Dr. Trawick?
I just had a comment. I know, Mrs. Farrer, you're fairly new to the board, but there are times, I don't know if we've actually gotten to 10, and there are certainly more senior members on the board that probably could speak to it a little bit better, but I think it depends on the issue. There are times when we have a line of people, and they all want to get an opportunity to speak. So I just wanted to add that point, that just because we haven't maybe seen it this year, it does happen. So just keep that in mind as we're considering moving forward.
Any other discussion on the amendment, Mr. Bongorio?
I would echo Mrs. Farah's point that we don't typically have many. I'll note that the board president does have authority to extend the amount of time. I personally wouldn't be opposed to returning it to the 3 minutes that it used to be a couple of years back, because I don't disagree with Mr. Maloney's comment that 4 minutes may be a lot of time. But there's been a trend away from opportunities for residents to speak. Residents, taxpayers, parents all have, should have, I think, the opportunity to address the board if they choose, but that hasn't been we haven't been pushing the limits. So I'd say keep it as it is, or if there, I'd even make a motion to move it to 3 minutes, but keep that available.
All right, so when you say that,
But-
are
but
you amending
I'll-
the
I'll hold
amendment?
that, I'll hold that back for now to keep it simple.
Okay. Mrs. Farmer?
So what I liked about this policy, because I was one of the people who felt that we needed more time back in the day for people to speak. What I like about it is that it not only does it allow the president of the board to extend the time, it also allows the board members to bring something up and then have to be agreed upon by the rest of the board in terms of voting. So it almost feels like to me, and it's not in action yet, but there could be more engagement with the board in terms of wanting to hear more information. And it could be, so I like what we have. I like what has been proposed, especially with those two pieces attached to it. So I'm comfortable with the 2 minutes, and I noticed the time myself, Megan, in terms of people pretty much finished within that 3-minute time frame. So I like the 2 minutes. I think we get to the point where we can be concise and figure out exactly what it is we want to address. And the fact that the board as a whole can also request, extend, or just the president can move forward and say, we're going to add more time to this. So I'm good with the way it is.
Mr. Butler?
Just briefly, I would say I like the fact that the original proposed policy creates space for more people to speak. So more public input, I think, opportunities for more public input is better than fewer. So.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Any other comments on the amendment? I'm just going to speak on the amendment. I mean, obviously, this came forward after discussion, after watching meetings over the last year, and some speakers are really good with their time. Some speakers, I'm going to tonight, I'll give a shout out to, did a nice job. They were 3 minutes, give or take. A lot of our people get up there 4 minutes and they start filling. There's a lot of there's a lot of fill time. They're not saying their points, they're just trying to fill their 4 minutes. I agree with Mr. Butler. I like the opportunity for us to get 10 people up to speak as opposed to 8. I think, from a transparency standpoint that's been raised by a couple people, I think the opportunity for more to speak is always better than less to speak. So I like that. And again, I think 20 minutes, by the time, we're looking at 8 speakers in 20 minutes, we're looking about a half hour of board time at that point between transition, people coming up and going back, et cetera. With 8 speakers, it's been running us almost 45 to 50 minutes of speaker time when we have the full allotment of speakers, which we have had on multiple occasions over the last year. So I'm not in favor of the amendment. I'd like to go back to the original resolution. Is there any other comments on the amendment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, which would be going back to the 32 and 8 speakers, is the gist correct that I have, Ms. Farrar? Since you're the maker of the motion, I just want to make sure I got it right. All those in favor of that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. So the nays have it. So now we're back on the original motion. Is there any discussion on the original motion? Back to the 10 speakers, 20 minutes is the gist. All right. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So that passes 7-2. All right, moving on to 13.02, temporary change in grade configuration at Arcadia Middle School. Can I say move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Malloy, second by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, or concerns on that? Mrs. Farmer.
What's temporary mean and why is this happening?
Microphone, please.
Oh.
Thank you.
What does temporary mean and why is this happening?
So in this situation, and Jeremy might chime in or add more, but what has happened is we had some special classes that BOCES was taking, the students from those classes, and some of our 811s. We had a situation at Arcadia Middle School where there was one of our teachers, and there was a pretty significant change in the numbers of students in his class, which was going to leave him with one student, which is really rare and weird, but sometimes things like that happen. So what we proposed to do is the students in the classroom from BOCES were 5th grade. So we want to bring them there, which is going to be their feeder pattern anyway, be part of a program that is also an 811 program, and allow them to, you know, keep our teacher and keep our classroom intact. So the reason, so that we're bringing 5th graders over to that, in that program, that self-contained
So will it be
program.
a split grade level then, 6th grade? So the teacher, one 6th grader and the rest 5th grade?
I don't know that, I can't say I know the grade of the one student that's there. I'm guessing it's a 6th grade or a different grade, and it
Okay.
wouldn't be more than 3 grades, so yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
that makes sense. So that's it. I mean, it makes perfect sense. We've worked with families and communicated all of that, so we feel like it's a really good thing.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing that, all is in favor? Any opposed? That passes 9-0. Moving on to board member comments. Does anybody have any board member comments this evening? Mrs. Farmer, we'll start with you.
So as I was reading your letter, Kathy, I was attracted to the, I wrote it down, the SLA, the Summer Leadership Academy, and the idea that teachers, and correct me if I'm a little off base because I'm looking at this, teachers are voluntarily agreeing to, or wanting to, become part of work that allows for coaches to go into classrooms, videotape their teaching, and then afterwards, I'm getting the chills because I did this way back when, and I think it's just the amount of learning and self-reflection and putting teachers in a role where they are becoming empowered by their own work. So I think that is fabulous that we're doing that kind of work because there's nothing bad about it. So I just wanted to say, yay.
Any other board member comments? Dr. Traywick.
So it's been a little while. Did we talk about graduation already? I'm going to talk about it again. So I just wanted to say, the graduation's still on my mind. It was in June. But it was just so awesome to watch so many of our kids walk across the stage and complete this chapter of their life. It was extra special for me because my son was one of those folks that got to walk across the stage, but it truly, you know, this work that we do, this volunteer work that we do, and we fight for programs and, you know, watch you guys come up with creative solutions to all kinds of problems to teach our kids, and we build systems and structures and all that great stuff. But graduation is truly like the culmination of it all. And I'm just, like I said, it's still on my mind, just seeing all the hard work and how it pays off. You know, it's one thing to look at numbers, but it's different when you actually see faces of those that have accomplished something and worked so hard, and also to all the staff, and teachers and administrators and parents and support systems, support folks that are there to, that were there to see their kiddos make it through. So kudos to us as a district. Sometimes you got to give your own self flowers. So that part. The other thing I wanted to say was I'm also really extremely grateful. The community schools model, like this is my 5th year on the board. I am up for re-election, no plugs or anything, but it's my 5th year. And I had the opportunity of seeing when we first started to talk about this community schools model. And I'm just so excited about the footprint of it, like how it is over everything that we're doing. Community schools, like this idea of, you know, supporting schools, and in one school, now it has like expanded all over our district, and it truly supports every structure, every building that we have in place. Even when people, you know, were out there saying, well, why are we helping families in this way, and we're not social services. But, you know, sometimes you got to just kind of push out the noise and just do what is right. And I'm excited about it. And, you know, now you're hearing that this is the buzzword in other districts. They're, you know, now taking hold of that model. So I just wanted to say kudos to community schools, continue to grow, continue to support our families. And then, last but not least, I also just wanted to say once again, thank you so much for all the work that you guys do with our special needs students. In my alternative life, I am now working with folks with disabilities and did not even realize how much accessibility, how much visibility, how much support those communities need. So I didn't say it earlier with the camps, but when you talked about the full year programs so that the children didn't regress, like that could be, you know, the difference between life or death and institutionalization for a lot of our young people. So I don't want that to go without being seen and acknowledged. So thank you, and I know our district is leading when it comes to supporting children and families with special needs. So excited to be a part of this team that's continuing to do well. So thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Mr. Maloney.
I'd just like to make a shout out to our Crease Post 468 American Legion baseball team, which represents children here in Greece. And they became New York State champions, and they represented us well in the regionals.
Ms. Flores.
I would like to definitely say thank you to everybody who works in this district throughout the summer. And there is so much going on, and we heard about so many great things with the programs that we've been able to expand. There's a lot of other people that are maybe haven't gotten noticed today. I want to give a shout out to all the buildings and facilities and grounds crews. There's been a crazy amount of work going on at our buildings this summer in order to get our schools ready to go for our students to return. I hear about new bathrooms and a new gymnasium at Patty Hill and all sorts of different things that people are really excited about. So I just wanted to say thank you, because I know there's a lot of really hard work going into that and a lot of challenges that come with it. So we have people who do transportation and food service workers and all sorts of things that make this district tick during the summer. So thank you to everyone who participates in that in some way, shape, or form. I also wanted to comment, and I'm so glad that Dr. Trawick commented on the community schools update. I can't believe where this has gone, and I haven't had the privilege of being around as long as Dr. Trawick has, but I can't believe how much this program continues to grow. And it comes out of the need for our families and students in this district. And that need continues to grow, which is so important why this community schools program that has been started here continues to grow with that need. There are some things that are happening that are really exciting with the community schools. I know that there is a parent advisory council that's going to be started, and I'm excited to see that take off and what happens with that, and more feedback, more ways for parents to provide ideas and feedback about what they need for their students in this district. So I just wanted to shout out to Kelly Sperduto, Dr. Payne, everybody who works with community schools, and it is such an important program. I'm really, really thankful for it. So I also want to plug that there is a community schools bash that will be happening. I saved the date, it was out, and I don't have the date written down. Kelly, could you shout that out for me? August 28th, 4 to 7 p.m. Shuttles from Odyssey and in Athena for families to attend for that. So please come out and join us for that. There will be pizza and snow cones and cotton candy at DJ booth, yard games, et cetera, et cetera. So a great way to kind of start out the, oh my gosh, we're returning to school next week. So, and so thank you.
Mr. Butler.
Thank you. And I want to start by congratulate those students who have been working so hard to finish and get graduated at the end of the summer here. It's an example of persistence, and that's something that will carry these students far in the world. So they deserve great congratulations for that. I want to thank all the administrative team members who have been working all summer, who have not strangled anyone who asked them if they get summers off. What do you do all summer, right? So To add to that, I want to give a plug to the district as a place to work, that the district is working hard to recruit and fill some vacant positions, and the school district is a great place to work, not just for teachers, but there's all kinds of jobs that people can do. So if you know somebody who's looking for a new career or a new place to work, please send them to the district. And I was going to plug the bash, but thank you for taking that away. But one thing I want to add, I guess, is that it's a time of excitement, certainly coming back to school, but it's also a time of stress for some students and families. And I just want them to know that the district is, filled with people who are excited about making it a great year for them. So hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Mr. Miller. Ms. Farah?
Okay, I'm going to make this quick. I didn't want to do it during our summer because I wanted to spend most of my time talking about the sports. Got 4 kids. Wow, it takes a lot to impress me, as we all know. But the sports program that you guys, the district, put together, phenomenal. And I can't even stress that enough. I couldn't wait to shout out text message calls, emails. We had some tremendous coaches give phenomenal participation speeches to these kids, getting them involved, keeping them on course. And I mean, I gotta shout out, there was over, gosh, how many kids? Arcadia behind us was packed with kids for the soccer program this past week. It was unbelievable. Between that, the baseball program, I just can't say it enough. Against my better judgment, one of the teachers did tell me that I need to put one of my kids into sports. Although I'm a sports fan, my kid's not into sports. Hello. So I got him involved in as many sports as I could. I was having soccer balls in my dreams. There were so many sports that we try to do for kids. But if you're someone who's looking for sports and you're looking to get some of your kids maybe in some right directions, go all the way. Get in, get involved. They were free. There were so many. As they mentioned, there was over 30 camps. I can't stress that enough. They worked on teamwork, participation, knowing your teammates, getting involved, and it was, I can't say it enough, phenomenal. And one last thing I'm going to go with, I want to thank the speakers that came out tonight. Every month we have resident forum. I know it takes a lot for people to come out and speak in front of the public. So I commend you. Mary, your speeches are always interesting and very educational on Constitution Day, so I appreciate it. And with that, school is almost here, so get ready.
Vice President Laura?
First of all, I'd like to recognize the food service program that we have, and breakfast and lunch available for children. I had a chance to stop by English Village, and they're working hard in a hot summer in the kitchen, but providing food for our children, that's fabulous. I got to see the marching band. They did a week of camp, and then they performed last week, and it was fabulous. And the kids were so excited to be back. It's almost time for that. I also had the opportunity to stop by the leadership week we had here, and the highlight for me was seeing elementary school teachers or elementary school students teaching the administrators. And what a wonderful opportunity for them, and they were so ready and so prepared. And I think it's important that we take time to recognize that our leaders work very hard in the summer to get ready for the school year. Thank you.
Thanks, Vice President Moore. My comments, I'm going to be quick tonight. The biggest things for me is just my favorite time of year. The summer school's ending, fall athletics is starting, and we're like 3 weeks away from the start of the school year. So I always get super amped up this time of year. There's so much going on with the fall sports starting, like I said. I attended leadership a couple weeks back for a little bit of time, and it was amazing to see the amount of work and effort and the camaraderie and the teamwork in the Leadership Academy. And every year I go, and I don't really know if it can get better than the year before, but every year I go and I watch it, quite a bit of it on social media to see what's going on with it. And it's always, seems to be a really good time, and a lot goes on, and a lot of good things happen for our students in this community through that week of work. And I just want to thank everybody, because it's a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot going on when they're there. And just as a note with that resolution, I know, Mary, you normally sign up to speak. With that resolution, you're required to call a board clerk ahead of time, just so you're aware. There won't be sign up that night, it's in the resolution, so you'll only be able to sign up through calling Debbie and letting Debbie know you want to speak. And with that, Superintendent Groutman, you're up.
So I have several points to make. A group that has not been recognized tonight is our HR department. And as we've recognized a lot of the people that are working through the summer, there's a ton going on with summer programming. We've called out all the different departments who are working incredibly hard. HR behind the scenes has done more hiring this summer and helped with really supporting all departments and been so incredibly accommodating and helpful to make sure that we have people in seats and supporting our kids in September. So I just want to make sure that you and your whole department get a ton of credit. And then the other group that I feel like, Tammy mentioned B&G, but Lou and the planning department, the capital project work that has gone on over the summer is also incredibly significant. That is important because it's a lot of work on their part, but it directly impacts everybody in the B&G department. So when we say that they're trying to get classrooms ready, oftentimes they're not giving the B&G, we don't have a lot of time because there was capital project work. They both interact and impact one another, and it's just astounding the amount of work that they've done. So I wanted to just make sure, on top of all the programming and the teachers and our administrators who are working so hard, those departments are as well. I want to also just say a huge thank you, Dr. Zaffitz. The Leadership Academy that we talk about, it is a 5-day Leadership Academy, and it's intended for new learning for our team. This year, it was not just administrators. We had a huge group of teachers that also attended, and it's 5 days of planning. So imagine like planning a wedding that lasted 5 days. And it is that significant, but our focus was around instruction. Our focus was around the idea of creating powerful learners, and the work that really goes into that from a teaching perspective and from a leadership perspective. But really, really proud of the work of our team and so grateful for all the teachers that attended as well. That makes a huge difference. I would also just give a shout out to our Board of Education. So we are here, obviously, you know, we have 9 members who volunteer. But on top of that, one thing that is unique in Greece is we do several retreats a year. There are districts that do none. There are districts that might do one. These folks not only come to these meetings, but there is time next week where we will be meeting for a chunk of time on Tuesday before the meeting, and then also a full day on the 23rd. And again, that is intended for study, for learning, and for work. And so I don't know that people necessarily know or appreciate that. We also do them on Saturdays throughout the year and before meetings. But that's a big commitment from all the people that are here sitting tonight. And lastly, I would just say, you know, it's funny because I feel like it's still a little bit far away. I'm holding on to August as long as possible. But I love fall, and I love the beginning of school. It's always been my favorite time of year. Excited for all the plans in terms of opening. We choose a theme every year. As many of you know, this past year we have worked to embrace joy. As we look ahead, we are looking at the theme, or I've chosen the theme of Better Together. And really that work is going to really center on, and we started some of this at Retreat, the idea of teamwork and the power of teamwork, the power of collective efficacy, and how those interact and how that work really will make a difference with our initiatives and the goals that we're setting for this year. So I'm excited to bring that and open the school year up coming soon. So thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Superintendent Groutman.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a
appreciate
second?
that, Mr. Maloney. Do I have a second? Ms. Flores, all those in favor? All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.